series of object-oriented modeling and design. Today we will start our discussion with state modeling. State modeling, it is one of the popular phase in the system design phase. So first, when we need to understand a system, we need to analyze the static structure of the system, which is the class model. So class model, it is a collection of different classes. From the class model, we can understand the structure of objects of these classes and the relationship between each other. The objects of these classes undergo many changes in its lifetime. So these changes are nothing but the states that can be represented using the state model. So state model describes the sequence of operations that occurs in response to external stimuli. So the external stimuli might be an event that occurs, as a result of which the change in the state occurs. That is, the transition takes place from one state to the other state. So here, state model consists of multiple state diagrams. So that is, for every class that has been identified in the class modeling, we are going to draw a state diagram. So that is, a state diagram, we can say it is a behavior of an object in its entire lifetime as it changes from one state to the other state whenever an event occurs. So that is about a simple definition of state modeling. So next we'll identify or understand the basic elements of state diagram. So state diagram has three important things here. So that is, it has events, states and transition. So here we'll try to understand one by one what are events, what are the states, and then finally the transitions. So coming to events here, an event is an occurrence at a point in time. So that is, an event can be in the form of an input or happenings at any point of time or moment of time there. So for example, when we are using a computer or a laptop, we just click on an icon. So this clicking an icon is also considered as an event. Or when you are using your cell phone, we have a dial pad or a keypad that is used to dial your number. Here we are creating an event. The event here creation is nothing but it is in the form of a input we are going to give it. So here event happens instantaneously with regard to a time scale of an application. So here, depending on what application we are using it, event changes from one application to another application, right? And here these events may be related events or unrelated events. So if it is a related events, it is following one after the other. So that is, when we have a series of events here, we have to follow here the particular sequence for the events to occur. So that is normally followed in your related events. But when we have two events that are unrelated, so that is, these two are independent events, so there is no effect on each other. So independently, both the events can simultaneously run there, right? So here, coming to the types of events there, so that is, events can be a regular event, or it can be considered for a normal condition or for a error condition as well. So here, that is about the events, right? So events can be of three types. So here basically we'll try to categorize into three different types of events. The first one is the signal event, the second one is the time event, and the third one is the change event, right? So let's start with signal event. So here, before we go to signal event, we'll try to understand what is a signal here. So signal is a type of communication, I can say. It is a one-way communication. That is, one the way we are transmitting the data. So that is, the sender is transmitting some kind of information. It may be in the form of message, or it may be in the form of bits here. So some or the other way the transmission takes place, which is called as the signal here. So in this perspective, that is with respect to object oriented methodology, we are considering the transmission between the objects here. So that is one object is trying to communicate with another object. So that is nothing but your signal. So here coming to the signal event here is, it is signal event is the event of sending or receiving the signal from these objects or between these objects there, right? So here it may be in the form of a message, or we can just create a signal there where the two objects are sending or receiving the signals. So signals can be in the form of a message, right? So normally two objects communicate with each other, right? So with the help of a message. So it is nothing but in turn, it is a method call. I can say one object calls the object method of another object there. So here that is how the signal will be generated. And the event that occurs during this signal or the message is called as the signal event, right? So here coming to the notation, so here we have in the UML notation, we have this signal classes, right? So here in signal classes we are using a rectangular box with two divisions here, where the first division or the first part of the notation includes the signal keyword, right, which is considered as the keyword there, right, which is within the angular brackets, and then followed by the signal name here, right? And then we have the second division where we can specify the variables that we are using it in the signal event, right? So here we have an example, three different examples that we have it, where the first one is the string entered, where the signal is the string entered, and the parameter or the variable that we are using is text, right? And here the second one is the digit dialed. So string entered is nothing but when we are giving the input through the keyboard, when we enter any string that is in the form of a text there. So here the input what we are giving it, it will be displayed on the monitor. So that is in the form of a signal, it will be sent to display on the monitor. So that is a signal event here that will be occurring. And that the second example we have is digit dialed. So the digit dialed is when we are dialing the numbers when we need to call somebody, right? So again here it is the dialing of numbers is again in the form of a signal here. The transmission takes place in the form of a signal. So here I have the signal class as the digit dialed, and the variable here is digit. So here you can just list out the variables depending on the signal class that you are going to identify, right? And the third type we have is mouse button pushed. So that is when you are clicking using the mouse. So when suppose it may be you are clicking on an icon, or you are trying to open a file, close a file, so any kind of activity when you are performing with the help of the mouse there. So you have to choose the button, whether you're using the right button or the left button, and then what location. So within the monitor, in what location you're going to click. So here those are the two parameters or the variables that we are um, identifying here for this mouse button pushed signal here. So you can see in all these signal classes we have used the keyword called signal here, which is surrounded by the angular brackets, right? So that is about the signal event. So next we have the time event. So here time event, it is caused by the occurrence of an absolute time or elapse of a time interval. So that is at a particular moment of time we can specify at what moment of time the event has to occur. So when that time is being achieved, the transition takes place, right? So here that is the type of the time event. And the second situation here is when we have a time interval to be elapsed. Like for example, when we are using oven there, so we want 30 seconds to be cooked here. So here when it is cooking, it will be in the cooking state. So here once the 30 seconds of cooking time is elapsed, it will go to the stop state there, or to the pause state, that you can see here. Once the time is elapsed of so many specified number of seconds here, the transition takes place. So that is the occurrence of the time event here. So here basically when we are using the uh, UML notation, we have two keywords that we are using it. The first keyword we are using here is when keyword, right? So this when keyword is used when we are specifying the absolute time. So here, for example, you can see I have given a expression, right? So date is equal to Jan 1st 2000. So that means here this time event has to occur when this expression is true. So that is when the date is Jan 1 2000, right? So when this date occurs, the time event occurs here, and because of that the transition takes place. So here this absolute time can be specified using the keyword called when, which follows the parenthesis, and within this parenthesis we can specify the expression that involves the time in which that particular time event has to occur. So that is the first situation where we can use the time event. The second situation, or the second uh, place where we can use this time event here is elapse of a time interval. So whenever need to specify the time interval, and we know this, it has to be evaluated during a time duration, right? So we are using the keyword called after, right? So here you can see the second example, we have this after, then followed by the time duration or the interval of time. So that is I have given here as 10 seconds. So that is once the 10 seconds are elapsed, what happens, the time event has occurred, and then the transition takes place from the current state to the next state in the particular state type. So that is about the time event. So where we can use the time event in two different occurrences there, right? So the third type we have is change event. So change event is an event that is caused by the satisfaction of a Boolean expression. So here, what is this Boolean expression here is? So the normally Boolean expression is the output of this expression will be either in the form of a true or false, right? So here again, just like time event, we are using the keyword when here. So that is whenever this change event occurs, the expression, that is the Boolean expression, will be continually evaluating the expression until and unless the expression is true, right? So once the expression is true, the change event occurs, right? The change event is nothing but whatever is the condition that is being satisfied. So if the condition is satisfied, the transition takes place, right? So for example, we can see here, just like a time event here, in change event as well, we are using this when as the keyword, and followed by the parenthesis. Within the parenthesis, we are going to specify the Boolean expression, where it can use all the algebraic operators. So like we have less than, greater than, equal to, not equal to. So all these operators, we can use it to specify the Boolean expression. So for example, if you see here, when room temperature is less than heating set point, so that is when this room temperature is less than the heating set point. So heating set point is a particular temperature. So here, if the condition of the temperature in the room is less than this heating set point temperature, the condition is satisfied. So that means when this condition is satisfied, when this condition is true, the transition takes place. Otherwise, it remains in the same state. That is the current state. So similarly, you have this other examples as well, right? So you have this battery power less than lower limit and their tire pressure less than minimal pressure. So here that means here you have these expressions, the Boolean expressions which can be specified within the parameters. Once this expression is true, we can see the transition takes place. We call such an event as change event. So which helps in identifying the change of the state, right? So that is about the events there. So here we have understood the three types of events: the signal event, time event, and the change event. Along with these events, we have also seen how to use the UML notations, right? So once we are finished with the events, next we'll start with the states there. So here coming to states. So states, it is nothing but it is a situation that we have already discussed. We started discussion with this, right? State, it is a situation of an object during its entire lifetime. So we can see an object will undergo a number of states, right? So here our job is to identify what are the states during its entire lifetime and when the transition takes place from one state to the other state and what type of event occurs. Now we have already understood what are the events there. So it may be one of the three events. It may be signal event, time event, or the change event, right? So here that is about the states here. And the UML notation, what we use it here is we are using a rounded box, right? Which has three compartments. The first compartment, it indicates the name of the state, right? And we are using it, a particular convention is used here. So that is, name will be in the bold phase and then the first letter of the state name should be capital, right? So using this convention, we'll specify the state name and then we have the remaining two compartments where the second compartment, it is the state variables and the third compartment is the actions here. So normally in case if you have any state variables, we can specify, and in case if you don't have, you can just leave it empty, right? And the actions here is on the particular state, what are the actions or the activities that takes place when an object is in its particular state. So here in case an object is in say some state S1. So when the object is in state S1, what are the set of activities the object has to undergo? So we can just specify this, right? So we'll see in detail about all these actions and the activities in the coming slides then, right? Now let us see the example of a fan motor where we can identify the states of a fan motor. So here normally we can see the fan may be in two states. It will be in the off state or on the on state. So here we'll assume that initially it is in the off state, right? So it will change from the off state to the on state when we switch the power on, right? So similarly from the on state, it will go to the off state when we switch the power off. So that is depending on the state, it goes to the other state when an event occurs, that is in the form of an input to the switch. That is, it will be in the on or off switch. We are going to change from one state to the other state. So here switch down and switch off, these are the two events that are occurring here. So here we can see it is in the form of a event, right? So when this switch down event occurs, it will change from the off state to the on state, and similarly from off state to the on state to the off state. So this is a very simple example where we have identified the different states. So here in our example, we just have only two states. So depending on the type of the system, we can identify different states. So here we can see fan is the object here. So here for this object, we have standardized two states, right? So one is the off state, the other one is the on state. So here that is about the simple example there. So next comes the transition and conditions. So here, what is this transition here is? Transition, it is an instantaneous change from one state to the other. So that is whenever an event occurs, we know the transition or the change in the state takes place. So the change in the state is nothing but the transition. So here the transition can be between different states or it may be for the same state. So that is, it will the original origin and the target state will be the same state in the form of a loop. So here in the looping state, it is only one state involved there, and it keeps transiting into the same state until and unless another event occurs and the change in the event creates the change in the transition, right? So that is about the types of transitions, and we have one more special type of transition called guarded transition. So what is this guarded transition here is, here the transition takes place only when a particular condition is being satisfied. So the condition here, it may be in the form of a Boolean expression. So whenever this Boolean expression is true, which in turn is nothing but the condition is true, the transition will occur there. So here, whenever the transition occurs based on some condition, we call that condition as the guard condition and the transition as the guarded transition. So here normally in other transitions or in a regular transition, the change in the state happens when an event occurs. Here in guarded transition, the change in the event occurs, change in the state occurs when the guarded transition is true, right? The guarded condition is true as well as the event is occurring, right? So that is about the guarded transition. So here next comes the basic state diagram notation. So here we have understood what is a state, what is a transition, and what is a event there, right? So here all these notations we are trying to put together into a single state diagram, and we can see here the notations that we are using it for state, event, or the transitions here are being given. So here states can be represented using a rounded rectangle here, and here in the second compartment you can see we can specify the activities, right? Activities, and then the events or the effects. So effects is nothing but as a result of this activity, what is the result here, right? So here that is called as the effects here, right? And then we have this event and then the effect. So that is, event is nothing but the type of event that is occurring here, and then we have this effect. Effect is nothing but as a result of this event, what is the effect that is happening or a result on the system. And then coming to the condition here, condition is nothing but the guard condition, and it is totally optional. In case if it is required, we can specify it, right? So that is the condition. Condition is nothing but the guard condition. So this is the simple uh, basic notation that we are using. These are using UML notations there, right? Now let us understand state diagram with another example, which is invoice processing system. So here in invoice processing system, we have this two states that are being identified, that is unpaid state and the paid state. And we have these two more notations that we are using it in UML, which is the solid circle, which indicates it is the initial state, and then this bull's eye, which indicates it is the final state here. So here in this example, you can see we start with the initial state. So here in the initial state, the invoice will be created, and the state here is in the unpaid state. So that is, now here the customer has not paid the amount yet. The payment is not complete yet here. So here only the invoice is being created. So now here the payment takes place. During this payment, the transition takes place from the unpaid state to the paid state, and the event here is paying. So once this paying event is complete, it will the system comes to a transition to the paid state. So here once the paid state is complete, so that is again it comes to the termination state. So once it comes to the termination state, you can see an event occurs, that is invoice destroyed. So that is once the payment is being done, the customer is nowhere involved here. So in this case the invoice will be destroyed, right? So here once the destruction of the invoice takes place, it will be end of this particular state diagram. So here you can see this is a very simple diagram here which represents the invoice processing system. Right? So similarly, what you can do is you take any type of system, identify the states here and identify the events, and then finally you can start writing the diagram here using the notations, right? So you have we have one more state diagram here. So we have this state diagram for seminar registration. So in seminar registration, what happens? We just start with the registration, right? So here we have identified 4 states here. So one is the setup state, the second one is the available state, third one is the full state, and the fourth one is the cancelled state. So in the setup state, so this is the first state. So here we are giving a transition from the initial state, which is the solid circle, right? So from the initial state to the first state, which is the setup state, where we are initializing the seminar. So that is, we'll start with the seminar activities. So what are the activities we have to start? We have to start the registration process. So here for registration process, we need to add the participants. Add the participants is nothing but as and when the seminar registration takes place, we need to keep a count on how many participants are being registered, right? So here one condition we can specify here is the maximum number of registrations that can take place. So here I have given as count as 20. So that is the maximum condition or the maximum number of participants that can register here. So here that is about the condition, right? So now here the transition takes place from the setup state to the available state whenever there is adding of the participants. So here you can see the event here is adding participants, and the action here is as and when the participants are being added, the count will be incremented. So initially it is 0, set to 0, as and when the participants add up. So that is, participants will be added up when the registration is complete. So here this count will be incremented here. So that is, here the transition takes place from the setup state to the available state. So here this available state will be active here until and unless the seats are available. So that is, we have a maximum count of 20. So that means here once the number 20 is reached, the registration is full there. So the change in the transition takes place from the available state to the full state. So until and unless it is in the available state, that means the registrations are still going on. Right? So once this condition is satisfied, that is, the count started with 0, when it reaches 20, it will change from available state to the full state. And here this count is equal to 20. This condition that we are specifying it on the transition, we call it as the guard condition. Whenever this condition is satisfied, the transition from the state, which is the available state, it will come change to the full state then, right? So here once the registrations are full, what happens here is it will come to the termination state, right? So it is the exit point here. So you can see a bullseye here. So that is one path of the registration. So here you can see it may happen that sometimes due to some circumstances the seminar is being cancelled, during which the erroneous condition has to take place. That is, during this erroneous state, that is it will come to the cancelled state, right? So here the cancellation may take on any moment of time, whether it may be in the setup state, or it may be in the available state, or it may be in the full state. So from any state of time, right? So the cancellation takes place. In case of the cancellation takes place, the transition takes place from that particular state to the cancelled state. So if it starts from the setup state, if there is a cancellation of the seminar, it will come, the transition takes place from the setup state to the cancellation. So similarly, during registrations it is happening. So here from the available state, it will come to the cancelled state. So similarly, from full state to the cancellation state. And as a result of the cancellation, what happens here is some activities has to take place. So that means here it is a refund activity has to take place, because till now uh, it may happen that the payments are being done by the participants. So these participants has to be refunded there, right? So here the activity what we have identified here is refund payments. So here for all the participants, the refund activity takes place there. And here similarly you can see for every other state we have the activities that are being identified. So for the setup state we have the initialize seminar. So initialize seminar is nothing but the variables, different variables, whatever we are using it, we try to initialize the values there. So that is about the initial seminar state there. So similarly, here in available state also we have this initialize seminar, and once all the registrations are complete, it is in the finalized seminar. So here these are the activities that are carried out in that particular state. So that is about your seminar registration state diagram. Okay, that's all for state modeling, and thanks for watching.